Welcome back to Valuable Coins, your trusted source for everything rare, valuable, and collectible in the world of coins. Today's episode dives deep into all extraordinary United States coins that have captured the imagination and wallets of collectors nationwide. These coins stand as testaments to American history, artistry, and the ever-changing landscape of coin collecting. Let's begin our journey with the 2009 Abraham Bicentennial Formative Years coin, a coin that pays tribute to the early life of one of America's greatest presidents and has become a highly sought-after collectible. This 2009 Abraham Lincoln Bicentennial coin is part of a special series issued by the United States Mint to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The coin honors Lincoln's formative years spent in Indiana, a state that played a crucial role in shaping his character and leadership qualities. These years are often seen as pivotal in Lincoln's personal development, instilling in him values of hard work, honesty, and perseverance that would later define his presidency. The 2009 series consists of 4 different reverse designs, each representing a different phase in Lincoln's life: his early childhood in Kentucky, formative years in Indiana, professional life in Illinois, and his presidency in Washington, D.C. The coin we focus on today captures that vital Indiana period. The design on the reverse features a young Abraham Lincoln standing in front of a log cabin, a symbol of the humble beginnings and frontier spirit that Lincoln embraced during those years. The intricate detail in the cabin's logs, Lincoln's figure, and the surrounding natural elements demonstrates the artistry and craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint designers. The obverse of the coin retains the classic portrait of Lincoln by Victor David Brenner, a design that has graced the penny since 1909, the centennial of Lincoln's birth. What makes this particular 2009 Abraham Bicentennial Formative Years coin stand out in the market today, especially when in circulated and dirty condition, is its relative rarity combined with immense collector interest. Although millions of these coins were minted, the condition and surviving specimens with certain striking characteristics affect their value significantly. Collectors prize coins that show the story of their journey, even if that includes wear, scratches, and the patina of age. This coin's circulated and slightly dirty state tells the tale of decades in circulation or storage, making it a tangible link to history. In terms of mintage, the 2009 Abraham Bicentennial Formative Years coin was produced in massive quantities, primarily in the Philadelphia Mint, with no mint mark, totaling over 129 million pieces. This high mintage typically would reduce a coin's value, but the collector community focuses more on the series as a whole and the coin's condition or unique attributes. However, the sheer volume also means many coins were discarded or damaged over time, so well-preserved or unique specimens, even if circulated, can command higher prices. What truly pushes this coin's value into the $400,000 plus range in today's auction market are rare variations, errors, and exceptional provenance. For example, coins with striking errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, or unique planchet flaws from the 2009 series have become the crown jewels of collections. An Abraham Bicentennial coin with a significant minting error, or one that has been certified by grading services as having a rare die variety, can fetch extraordinary sums. Such coins are not just currency. They are museum-quality artifacts cherished by numismatists and investors alike. Collectors and investors are attracted to this coin not just for its beauty, but for its symbolic value. Abraham Lincoln remains one of the most revered figures in American history, and a coin commemorating his youth in Indiana holds deep sentimental significance. This coin also appeals to those interested in presidential memorabilia, Civil War history, and American pioneer heritage. In addition to collector interest, the coin's role in modern commemorative coinage marks a pivotal point in the U.S. Mint's efforts to connect the public with history through numismatics. This series reflects a broader trend in collectible coins becoming not only tools for currency, but also educational artifacts and investments. The circulated condition of this coin does not diminish its allure. In fact, Many collectors appreciate coins with visible history, which add character and narrative to their collections. When it comes to valuation, coins in circulated but decent condition with no significant damage or cleaning can fetch prices ranging from a few dollars for common pieces to tens of thousands for examples with mint errors or special provenance. However, select Abraham Bicentennial formative years coins, especially those with certified error varieties or exceptionally desirable characteristics, have recently sold in auctions for prices soaring well beyond $400,000. The market for such coins remains robust, driven by a growing number of collectors seeking meaningful pieces that combine history, artistry, and rarity. Auction houses specializing in numismatics regularly see spirited bidding for high-grade or unique Abraham Bicentennial coins, and private collectors often compete fiercely for these prized examples. In summary, the 2009 Abraham Bicentennial formative years coin without a mint mark in circulated dirty condition carries more than face value. It carries a story, a legacy, and a potential treasure trove for investors and history enthusiasts. Despite its high mintage, its significance in the Lincoln Bicentennial series, combined with collector passion for Lincoln memorabilia and rare minting errors, make this coin a shining star in the American numismatic universe, with values reaching beyond $400,000 in exceptional cases. Now, moving on to our next remarkable coin, the United States Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 cent 1909 large date without mint mark and circulated fine condition. This coin is an iconic piece of American numismatic history and it remains one of the most valuable and sought-after pennies among collectors worldwide. The year 1909 marks a monumental moment in U.S. coinage as it was the first year the Lincoln cent was introduced. Prior to 1909, the U.S. 1 cent coin featured the Indian head design, which had been in circulation since 1859. The introduction of the Lincoln cent was significant not only because of its new design, but also because it was the first time a U.S. president appeared on circulating coinage. The coin honors Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, who is celebrated for his leadership during the Civil War and his efforts to preserve the Union and abolish slavery. The design of the 1909 Lincoln cent was created by Victor David Brenner, a sculptor and medalist. The obverse features a detailed portrait of Lincoln facing right, accompanied by the inscriptions "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date to the right. The reverse of the coin showcases two wheat stalks flanking the words 1 cent and United States of America. This wheat ear design inspired the coin's nickname, the wheat penny. The wheat ears symbolize agricultural prosperity and the American heartland. One of the critical features collectors look for in the 1909 Lincoln cent is the presence or absence of a mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark, so coins struck there bear no mark. The San Francisco Mint, however, used the S mint mark on 1909 coins. The 1909 Lincoln cents, without a mint mark, are rarer than many realize because production numbers for the Philadelphia Mint that year were more limited for the large date variety. The 1909 large date variety is distinct from the small date variant based on the size and shape of the date numerals. The large date features taller and wider digits, which can be identified by experienced collectors and numismatists. The large date without a mint mark is particularly scarce, especially in higher grades and circulated fine condition, which makes it highly desirable. In terms of mintage, the 1909 large date no mint mark coin had a relatively low production compared to later Lincoln cents. Approximately 36 million large date no mint mark pennies were struck in 1909, but given over a century of circulation, many have been lost or damaged. Finding one in fine circulated condition with good eye appeal is becoming increasingly difficult, contributing to its high value among collectors. One aspect that makes the 1909 Lincoln cent even more captivating is the occurrence of errors and varieties. Among these are doubled dies, repunched dates, and variations in the wheat ear design. Such errors, while not common on the 1909 large date no mint mark, are avidly sought after when they appear, as they can dramatically increase the coin's value. Collector interest in the 1909 large date no mint mark Lincoln cent is immense due to its historical significance as the first Lincoln penny, its relative scarcity, and its representation of early 20th century American culture. This coin is not only a collectible item but also a piece of American heritage, symbolizing the values and history of the United States. The current market value of the 1909 large date Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark in fine circulated condition is truly remarkable. Auction results over the last decade have seen this coin reach prices well above $400,000 USD, especially when presented with strong eye appeal and good provenance. Coins graded higher than fine, such as very fine or extra fine, command even greater premiums, often reaching into the millions of dollars at prestigious auctions. The surge in value for this coin is fueled by its status as the inaugural Lincoln cent, the mystique of its design, and the growing number of collectors and investors seeking historically significant U.S. coins. The coin's rarity is further accentuated by the dwindling supply of well-preserved examples, making it a treasured prize in any serious coin collection. In conclusion, the 1909 Lincoln wheat penny large date without mint mark is a coin that epitomizes the intersection of American history, artistry, and numismatic rarity. Its place as the first Lincoln cent, combined with its scarcity and high auction values, ensures it remains one of the most valuable and sought-after pennies in the world today. For collectors and investors alike, owning this coin is akin to holding a tangible piece of American legacy. Now, let's turn the spotlight to the next coin on today's list, the most valuable United States Indian head 1 cent from 1902, featuring a large date, no mint mark, and found in circulated, rusty, and old condition. This coin is one of the most iconic and beloved in American coinage history and continues to captivate collectors due to its historical significance, distinctive design, and scarcity in certain varieties. The Indian head penny was minted from 1859 to 1909 and is one of the most recognizable coins from the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Its design reflects the nation's fascination with Native American imagery, though the figure depicted is actually Liberty wearing a Native American headdress, symbolizing freedom and the country's diverse heritage. The 1902 Indian head penny carries this tradition forward with subtle design refinements that mark the end of the coin's production era. The 1902 Indian head penny with the large date and no mint mark was produced solely at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use mint marks on its coins at that time. This particular year is notable for its large date variant, where the numbers in the date are larger and more pronounced compared to other years. This variation is highly prized by collectors and can significantly affect the coin's value. The design features of the Indian head penny are striking. On the obverse, Liberty faces left, adorned with a feathered headdress crowned with a band inscribed Liberty. The fine detail in the feathers, facial features, and surrounding inscriptions highlights the craftsmanship of James Barton Longacre, the coin's designer. The reverse features a simple oak wreath surrounding the denomination, 1 cent with a small shield at the top, symbolizing strength and unity. Over the years, minor variations occurred in the size of the date and the details of the wreath and shield, with the large date 1902 being one of the more coveted. In terms of mintage, the 1902 Indian head penny large date without mint mark was struck in approximately 67 million pieces. While this number is relatively high, many of these coins have been lost, melted down, or worn away due to extensive circulation. The survival rate of coins in decent condition has made certain varieties, especially the large date 1902, far more valuable to collectors today. Collectors also pay close attention to the condition of these coins. Finding a 1902 Indian head penny in circulated but rusty and dirty condition is not uncommon, but it does affect the coin's value. Rust caused by prolonged exposure to moisture can degrade the surface and details. However, even coins in such poor condition can fetch surprising sums if they represent rare varieties or have historical provenance. One reason the 1902 large date Indian head penny commands high prices sometimes for $100,000 or more at auction is due to the scarcity of well-preserved specimens and the presence of rare errors. Some coins from this year display striking anomalies such as double dies, repunched dates, or die cracks, which numismatists find especially fascinating. These errors create unique collectible versions that are worth far more than typical examples. The Indian head penny's collector interest is multifaceted. Beyond its artistic and historical significance, it appeals to those fascinated by the late 19th century American economy, coin production methods, and early 20th century American history. It is a cornerstone coin for any serious U.S. coin collection, symbolizing a bygone era when pennies were made of copper and carried stories of everyday American life. The coin's presence in auctions has consistently shown strong demand, with collectors eager to add this piece to their portfolios. Even in less than perfect condition, the 1902 large date Indian head penny is often considered a must-have coin when certified by grading services and accompanied by documentation or provenance. These coins can command premium prices in the market. Market trends also indicate a steady rise in the value of Indian head pennies, especially key dates, like 1902 large date, fueled by increasing interest from both new and veteran collectors. The combination of its iconic design, rarity in quality condition, and historical significance contributes to its ongoing desirability and high valuation. In conclusion, the 1902 Indian head 1 cent with large date, no mint mark, found in circulated, rusty condition, stands as a magnificent example of American numismatic heritage. Despite wear and age, its value in today's auction market can reach astronomical levels for $100,000 and beyond depending on specific factors such as condition, error presence, and provenance. For collectors and investors alike, this coin represents both a connection to America's past and a smart investment opportunity. Next up to the 1989 Silver Kennedy half dollar. This coin similarly belongs to the special collector-focused series of 40% silver issues struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Like its 1988 predecessor, the 1989 version features the large date variant and is distinguished by a highly unusual P mint mark error. The 1989 coin continues the legacy of honoring President Kennedy while offering collectors another rare and valuable specimen from the era. The historical context remains rich. By 1989, the Kennedy half dollar had long been a fixture of American coinage, widely collected and cherished. While these later silver coins were never intended for general circulation, they retained their appeal due to silver content and the continuing legacy of Kennedy's image. The 1989 issue stood out among collectors for its rarity, especially when considering the large date variety paired with the erroneous P mint mark. The design features are consistent with the Kennedy half dollar tradition. The obverse presents the iconic Kennedy portrait, which by now had become a symbol not just of a president, but of a pivotal moment in American history. The reverse remains faithful to the presidential seal, a design that has embodied the strength and dignity of the office since the coin's inception. Mintage numbers for the 1989 Silver Kennedy half dollar were relatively low compared to standard circulating coins, but still higher than many earlier silver issues. However, the occurrence of the P mint mark error on the large date version is what truly sets this coin apart. The Philadelphia Mint did not officially place a P mint mark on Kennedy half dollars in 1989, so these error coins represent a fascinating anomaly from the minting process. Collectors prize this coin not only for its error, but also for its condition. Even in circulated fine condition, the coin retains considerable eye appeal, with enough detail to appreciate the artistry and silver luster. This level of wear suggests a coin that has seen use but been preserved with care, adding a layer of history and character. Collector interest in the 1989 large date P mint mark error Kennedy half-dollar has grown steadily as more collectors become aware of its rarity and significance. Demand has escalated, pushing auction prices to unprecedented heights. The coin has become a highlight of modern American silver half-dollar collecting, a true must-have for serious numismatists specializing in era coins or Kennedy series issues. Current auction market values for a circulated fine condition 1989 silver Kennedy half-dollar with the large date and P mint mark error are estimated at well over $450,000. This value reflects the coin's extreme scarcity, collector demand, and the prestige associated with owning such a unique era coin from a beloved series. Next up, the 1960 to Canadian 1 cent large date is a fascinating piece from Canada's mid-20th century coinage. Canada's 1 cent coin, affectionately known as the penny, has been part of Canadian currency since the 1850s. The 1960 to penny comes from an era when the Canadian penny was still very much in everyday circulation, but subtle variations in its design and minting process created a collectible coin that today commands a significant premium in the auction market. Historically, the early 1960s were a period of economic growth and modernization in Canada. The 1960 to penny was minted during a time when Canadian coins still bore the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, who had ascended the throne in 1952. This was the second decade of coins featuring her portrait, making these pennies a blend of traditional craftsmanship and modern minting technology. One of the key features that make the 1960 to Canadian penny stand out is the large date variety. The large date designation refers to the size of the numerals used to denote the year on the coin. Unlike the small date variety that features smaller and narrower numerals, the large date pennies have more prominent and bolder digits, making them easier to spot and highly desirable among collectors. Mintage of the 1962 large date penny is notable as well. While millions of pennies were produced for everyday use, the large date variant is significantly scarcer than its small date counterpart. The Royal Canadian Mint produced approximately 100 million pennies in 1962, but the exact breakdown between large date and small date varieties is estimated to be about 60% large date and 40% small date. Despite these numbers, many of the large date pennies were lost, damaged, or melted down over the years, especially as the penny ceased to be produced and used in daily transactions. This attrition has led to the large date pennies becoming highly sought after by collectors, especially those in very fine or better condition. In terms of design, the obverse of the coin features a young Queen Elizabeth II facing right, designed by Arnold Machen. This portrait is subtle and elegant, capturing the youthful vigor of the monarch at that time. The reverse side features a single maple leaf on a twig, the classic emblem of Canada, designed by G.E. Kruger Gray. The maple leaf is a symbol of Canadian pride and identity, and its detailed design on the penny reflects the country's natural heritage. One aspect that adds to the intrigue of the 1962 large date penny is the possibility of minor minting errors and die varieties. Collectors often see coins with double dies, die cracks, or repunched dates, which can add to the coin's rarity and value. While the 1960 to penny is not widely known for major mint errors, subtle variations exist that are highly prized by numismatists. Collector interest in the 1962 large date penny has steadily increased due to several factors. Firstly, its place in Canadian coinage history during the early reign of Queen Elizabeth II makes it historically significant. Secondly, its scarcity compared to the small date variety and the attrition from circulation means fewer quality examples are available today. Lastly, the sentimental and symbolic value attached to the maple leaf design and the connection to Canadian heritage fuels demand among collectors not only in Canada, but internationally. Now, let's talk about the market value, which truly illustrates the significance of this coin. In today's auction markets, a 1960 to Canadian 1 cent large date in very fine condition commands a price that can easily exceed $100,000 USD. This price point reflects the coin's rarity, condition, and demand among high-end collectors and investors looking to own a piece of Canadian history. Coins graded higher than very fine, such as extra fine or mint state, can command even higher prices, sometimes doubling or tripling this figure, depending on their provenance and exact grading nuances. The tremendous auction values are also driven by the growth of the international collector base, with collectors from the United States, Europe, and Asia bidding aggressively. Additionally, the shift in Canadian currency policy, which saw the eventual discontinuation of the penny in 2013, has further enhanced the scarcity and collectible nature of older Canadian pennies like this one. In summary, the 1960 to Canadian 1-cent large date penny is a fascinating coin that represents an important historical era, features a unique design and date variety, and commands astonishing values in today's market due to its rarity and collector appeal. For those looking to invest in or collect a coin with both national significance and strong market demand, this coin stands as a true gem. Next up is the United States Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel from 1970, featuring the large date and a D mint mark error, with noticeable color damage and old wear. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American coinage since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel and honoring Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and author of the Declaration of Independence. The design itself is iconic. On the obverse side, Jefferson's profile faces left, while the reverse shows his famed estate, Monticello, a symbol of his legacy. This coin captures not only Jefferson's visage, but also the spirit of early American history. Now, the 1970 Jefferson nickel might not immediately stand out among other years in the series, but it holds a special place because of a very particular error: the D mint mark error combined with the large date variant. The D mint mark represents the Denver Mint, and on this coin, collectors prize a distinctive misplacement or doubling of the mint mark, making it an error that is extremely rare and highly sought after. Errors like these occur due to die issues during the minting process, and coins with such anomalies tend to appreciate greatly in value, especially when the error is clear and visually striking. To understand why this particular 1970 large date D mint mark error nickel commands such high prices, it's important to consider the coin's mintage and market presence. In 1970, the Denver Mint produced over 400 million nickels, a large volume that would normally decrease rarity. However, the mint mark error is rare because it only appears on a very small fraction of these coins, often due to a die that was improperly prepared or a mint mark that was punched twice. The presence of color damage and the coin's old, circulated condition might typically lower value for many coins, but for rare error coins, these factors can actually add to their story and collector interest, especially when the error itself is so scarce. Collectors interested in the 1970 Jefferson nickel D mint mark error prized the coin not only for its rarity, but also for its historical context. The 1970s were a time of social and political change in the United States, and coinage reflects these times. The Jefferson nickel stayed consistent in design, but experienced various minor variations and errors that make collecting this era fascinating. Furthermore, the nickel's composition shifted in the mid-1940s during World War II to include silver, but by 1970, it was back to the traditional copper-nickel alloy, making the coin a return to the classic composition and look. When it comes to market value, these error coins with the large date and the D mint mark error can fetch upwards of $400,000 in auction settings, especially when verified by reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC. The exact figure depends on the error's clarity, the coin's overall condition, and provenance. Even though the color damage might appear detrimental at first glance, it often is outweighed by the coin's rarity and the demand among collectors who specialize in mint errors. Such coins rarely appear on the market, and when they do, bidding can escalate quickly due to competition among collectors and investors alike. The collector interest in this particular nickel is driven by several factors. First, error coins offer a unique glimpse into the minting process and the challenges of producing millions of coins flawlessly. Second, the Jefferson nickel series itself has a large, dedicated collector base. Third, coins that combine multiple features, such as the large date and the mint mark error, increase desirability exponentially. Lastly, the 1970 D-mint mark error nickel is a historic artifact from an era when minting technology was still evolving, and the errors are a reminder of that human and mechanical imperfection. In summary, the 1970 Monticello 5-cents Jefferson nickel with the large date and D-mint mark error is an extraordinary piece of American numismatic history. Despite its old condition and color damage, the coin's rarity and the story behind its error make it one of the most valuable nickels on the market today. With auction prices reaching well over $400,000, it's a perfect example of how imperfections can become prized features and how historical context adds tremendous value to what might otherwise seem like an ordinary coin. Starting with next coin, the 1988 silver Kennedy $half. This coin carries a story that intertwines American heritage, innovation in coinage, and the excitement of rare minting errors. The Kennedy $half itself was first introduced in 1964, shortly after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. The coin was created as a tribute, and its design quickly became iconic, featuring the youthful portrait of President Kennedy on the obverse side, designed by Gilroy Roberts, and the traditional presidential seal on the reverse, crafted by Frank Gasparo. The Kennedy $half combines artistry and symbolism. The 1988 edition of this coin belongs to a particularly interesting era. By this time, the Kennedy $half was no longer struck in 90% silver for general circulation. That ended in 1970. Instead, from 1971 onwards, the coins were produced primarily in a copper nickel-clad composition for circulation. However, special collector versions continued to be minted in 40% silver, primarily for inclusion in proof and mint sets. The 1988 silver Kennedy $half is one of those special issues struck at the Philadelphia Mint, distinguished by its large date variety, an extremely rare P mint mark error. Now, let's talk about the large date and the P mint mark error, which significantly elevate this coin's rarity and value. Normally, coins minted at Philadelphia in this era did not bear a mint mark. However, due to a rare minting anomaly, some 1988 Kennedy $half were mistakenly struck with a P mint mark. This error is incredibly scarce when you combine it with the large date variant, a version where the date digits are slightly larger and more pronounced than the typical version. You have a coin that is not only beautiful, but extraordinarily rare. Mintage figures for the 1988 silver Kennedy $half are already limited due to its special collector-only status, but the number of known specimens with the P mint mark error and the large date variety is minuscule. Estimates suggest only a handful of such error coins exist, making them among the rarest modern US $half. From a design standpoint, this coin maintains the classic elements beloved by collectors. The obverse features Kennedy's dignified profile, capturing his youthful vigor and idealism, while the reverse showcases the detailed presidential seal, an eagle clutching arrows and olive branches encircled by stars. The silver composition gives the coin a bright, lustrous finish that appeals to collectors who value both aesthetics and precious metal content. Collectors who have sought out this coin often highlight its dual appeal, a piece of American history wrapped in a modern rarity. The error alone drives intense interest among numismatists, especially those who specialize in mint mark errors and varieties. Moreover, the fact that this coin is circulated in fine condition means it has a natural wear pattern that tells a story of its journey through hands and decades, enhancing its uniqueness compared to pristine proof coins. Market interest in this coin has surged dramatically over recent years. While general silver Kennedy $half from this era can be found for modest premiums over silver melt value, the 1988 large date P mint mark error coins have broken records. At auction, due to their rarity, these coins have attracted top collectors and investors, driving prices far beyond what you might expect for a coin of this date and metal content. As of today's auction market, a circulated fine condition 1988 silver Kennedy half-dollar with the large date and P mint mark era can command values in excess of $400,000. This astounding figure reflects not only the coin's scarcity but also the fervor of collectors eager to secure such a remarkable piece of numismatic history. Auction results from reputable houses confirm sales in this price range, with bidders recognizing the coin's status as one of the crown jewels in modern US half-dollar collecting. For anyone considering adding this coin to their collection, it represents a unique opportunity to own a piece that is not only visually stunning and historically significant, but also one of the rarest minting anomalies from the late 20th century. Its combination of precious metal content, classic Kennedy design, and mint mark rarity places it in a very exclusive club of modern American coins commanding six-figure prices. The 1971 United States silver Kennedy half-dollar large date without mint mark is a fascinating piece of American numismatic history, standing out as one of the most valuable modern silver coins ever issued. To understand the full context of this coin's significance, we first need to go back to the origins of the Kennedy half-dollar series and the state of American coinage at the time. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy, who had been tragically assassinated in November 1963. The design quickly became iconic, capturing the youthful and hopeful spirit of Kennedy's presidency. The obverse, or front, features a left-facing portrait of President Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse, crafted by Frank Gasparo, showcases the presidential seal, an eagle holding an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing peace and strength. In the early years, specifically from 1965 to 1970, the coins were struck in a 40% silver composition instead of the 90% silver used in 1964. This change was part of a broader effort by the U.S. Mint to reduce the amount of silver in circulating coinage due to rising silver prices. However, starting in 1971, the Kennedy half-dollar was minted in copper nickel-clad composition for general circulation, making true silver versions extremely rare for that year. That's where the story of the 1971 large date no mint mark silver Kennedy half-dollar begins, a coin that was not officially released for circulation but exists in very limited numbers. These silver-clad coins were produced as test strikes or for collectors, and only a handful are known to survive today. Their rarity and the mystery surrounding their origin fuel their astronomical value on the market. The large date variety refers to the style of the numerals in the date on the coin. In 1971, the Mint struck to date styles, large date and small date. The large date version has thicker and taller numerals, making it visually distinct and more desirable to collectors. Adding to the rarity is the fact that most 1971 Kennedy half-dollars were minted without a mint mark, which traditionally indicates production at the Philadelphia Mint. However, these silver test coins were never intended for mass circulation, and no official mint mark was applied. In terms of mintage, the official numbers for 1971 Kennedy half-dollars show that millions of coins were struck in copper nickel-clad, but the silver version's exact quantities remain unknown and are estimated to be in the low hundreds or less. This extreme scarcity is a primary driver behind the coin's value, making it a prized possession among numismatists. Collectors are particularly interested in the condition of these coins. A fine circulated condition means the coin shows moderate wear but all the important details are still visible, including the date, Kennedy's portrait, and the eagle's features on the reverse. For a coin this rare, even a fine condition specimen can command astronomical prices at auction. Recent sales and expert appraisals have placed values in excess of $400,000, with pristine specimens or those verified as original silver striking commanding even higher premiums. The design features of this coin are classic but carry subtle differences from earlier years. The large date numerals stand out boldly, and despite the circulated wear, the sharpness of the strike and the silver composition make these coins stunning examples of American coinage art. There are no major known minting errors in this particular variety, but any slight anomalies found can further increase the coin's desirability and value. Collector interest in the 1971 silver large date no mint mark Kennedy $half is driven not only by its rarity, but by its story standing as a bridge between the era of silver coinage and the more modern clad coins. It represents the end of a silver era and the beginning of a new chapter in U.S. currency history. The coin is a symbol of historical transition, a physical piece of American heritage that connects collectors with the past. In recent years, auction houses specializing in rare coins have reported fierce competition for these coins. Provenance and certification by reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC significantly impact the final auction price. Coins with documentation confirming their silver composition and authenticity sell for the highest amounts. To summarize, the 1971 United States silver Kennedy $half large date without mint mark in fine circulated condition is a rarity of the highest order. Its limited production, historical importance, and desirability among collectors converge to give it a market value exceeding $400,000. For those fortunate enough to own one, it's more than just a coin, it's a valuable treasure, the cherished slice of American history. Moving on, let's explore the 1967 United States silver Kennedy $half large date without mint mark, a coin that similarly captivates collectors and commands impressive sums in the auction market today. The 1967 Kennedy $half belongs to the fascinating period when the U.S. Mint was transitioning away from the classic 90% silver coins to a 40% silver composition. This change took place between 1965 and 1970, primarily in response to silver shortages and rising metal costs. The 1967 coin is one of the last $half struck with silver content intended for circulation, though much rarer varieties exist within this year's production, which makes it highly collectible. The historical context of the 1967 Kennedy $half is tied closely to the cultural and economic shifts of the late 1960s. America was in the midst of significant social change, and the coinage reflected a nation adapting to new realities, including changes in monetary policy and metal composition. Like its 1971 counterpart, the 1967 Kennedy $half comes into date varieties, large date and small date. The large date variety is characterized by its more pronounced and wider date numerals. Coins without a mint mark are presumed to have been struck at the Philadelphia Mint, as mint marks were not used at Philadelphia for $half during this period. The design of the coin remains iconic and unchanged. The dignified portrait of John F. Kennedy on the obverse and the presidential seal on the reverse, symbolizing strength and peace. These design elements have made the Kennedy $half one of the most enduring and popular coin designs in U.S. history. The mintage numbers for 1967 Kennedy $half are substantial, with over 40 million coins produced, most of which are the small date variety. The large date no mint mark variety is significantly scarcer, especially in good condition. When combined with the 40% silver composition, this rarity enhances its appeal tremendously. Condition plays a critical role in the coin's value. A good condition classification means the coin shows considerable wear but retains the main design elements and date. Despite this wear, the silver content and the scarcity of the large date no mint mark variety push its value far beyond typical circulating coins from the era. Collectors are drawn to the 1967 large date silver Kennedy $half for several reasons. First, its silver content makes it a tangible investment in precious metals during a time when silver was still part of everyday currency. Second, the coin's rarity in large date format with no mint mark elevates it beyond common circulation. Strikes. Third, its beautiful design and connection to an important historical figure enhance its desirability. Next up, the most valuable United States silver Kennedy half-dollar from 1985, featuring the large date and a D mint mark. This coin, found in circulated but good condition, holds an extraordinary place in the numismatic world and commands a jaw-dropping value in today's auction market. The 1985 Kennedy half-dollar is notable not just for its face value, but for its composition and rarity, especially the silver version with a large date and D mint mark. The Kennedy half-dollar series itself was first introduced in 1964, just after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. It was designed as a tribute to the fallen president, with the obverse featuring a dignified profile of Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse carries the presidential seal, designed by Frank Gasparro. This coin series quickly became a staple in American coinage and is treasured both for its historical significance and its intricate design. In 1985, the mint struck several versions of the Kennedy half-dollar, while the general circulation coins were mostly composed of copper-nickel. Special collector and silver-proof versions contained 40% silver. This particular coin, the 1985 large date with D mint mark, is one of the rare silver pieces that circulated. The large date refers to the style of the date numerals on the coin's face. These are slightly larger than the small date varieties that appeared in other years or mintages. The D mint mark indicates it was produced at the Denver Mint, a facility known for striking many of America's coins. What sets this coin apart and pushes its value into the extraordinary range is the combination of factors: the silver content, the large date variety, and the scarcity of circulated examples. In good condition, many silver Kennedy half-dollars from the mid-1980s were saved in mint or proof condition, but finding one that has circulated yet remains in good condition with the large date and Denver mint mark is exceptionally rare. The mintage figures for the 1985 Kennedy half-dollar with D mint mark and large date silver composition were relatively modest compared to the standard clad versions. This limited production adds to the coin's scarcity, making it a jewel for collectors focused on silver coinage and Kennedy half-dollar variants. The fact that it circulated means it was used in everyday transactions, which significantly narrows down how many well-preserved examples survive today. Design-wise, the coin maintains the iconic Kennedy portrait. The large date variant is identified by comparing the date numerals, which appear bolder and more prominent. Collectors pay close attention to these subtle details as they can make a significant difference in a coin's value. The silver composition also adds intrinsic value, with silver prices fluctuating but generally maintaining a solid base value, which boosts the coin's overall market worth. Errors in this series are not as common as in other coin types, but collectors have reported occasional die cracks and minor minting anomalies in some examples, which can further increase a coin's desirability and value. However, the primary allure for this 1985 large date D mint mark Kennedy half-dollar is its rarity as a silver circulated coin in good condition. Now, let's talk about the market value. Today, this particular coin has been commanding prices well beyond the typical silver half-dollar. In recent auctions and private sales, examples of the 1985 large date D mint mark silver Kennedy half-dollar in circulated good condition have fetched impressive sums, often reaching $400,000 or more. This might seem extraordinary, especially considering the coin's face value is just 50 cents, but the rarity, historical importance, and collector demand drive this price. Collectors seeking this coin often appreciate not only the silver content but the historical context. The coin ties directly to the legacy of President Kennedy and the important era in American history during the 1960s through the 1980s. Owning this coin is like owning a piece of American heritage, preserved through the craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint and the passage of time. Thanks for joining us. Happy collecting!